what Bimal Ratnayake told in Parliament. He said that the new lease of the aircraft is costing the Sri Lankan government $270,000 US dollars a month, while the losses accumulated because of the Airbus deal that you spoke about is around 800,000 US dollars. Now, this is a stark difference in terms of what Sri Lankans have to pay back in terms of making sure that the Sri Lankan Airlines sustain itself. In your opinion, do you think Sri Lankan Airlines should be restructured or at least should be sold to a foreign bidder? Because at the end of the day, you can survive without an airline.
No, 100%. Restructuring is a must. What is the structure of the restructuring is probably what we have to debate. I'm not saying, I mean, if we can give it to a private investor or another buyer, that's fine. Or else, because of the complexity of this airline business, because it's a national carrier, I think we have some routes coming under the national carrier. So if we, even like what we had the management contract with Emirates, if we can move to something in that sort, even that is beneficial. So I think in terms of restructuring, I think there's probably the unanimous consent on restructuring, but the formation can be discussed. But by trying to keep it under the government, probably government is taking a back foot on their promise on anti-corruption. Because when you are trying to keep it under the government hands, you are basically incentivizing corruption, and you can see it. I'm not saying it's only coming from the government end, because a lot of private companies who have sort of a monopolistic agreement with Sri Lankan Airlines, and I think they want to keep it under the state purview because their businesses are getting benefit.
So what if I told you that a company that is making losses is paying increments to its employees? How do you view it,
Absolutely. So this is the corruption that I mentioned before. When you keep it under the government, because you really do not have an incentive to make it profitable, because you are running the business by taxpayer money. But also there's a political economy that we need to understand, because the moment that you absorb the debt, I saw the conversation. Okay, Sri Lankan Airlines has started making operational profit. They make operational profit because they absorbed $500 million to the balance sheet, and $500 million is equivalent to the controversial Millennium Challenge Corporation agreement, which covered public transport, land reforms and traffic, which is basically affecting common man. I mean, whether it is right or wrong, it's a different discussion. But even if we had that money without MCC to do it, probably we could have given a try. So that's where we have to evaluate the real economic benefits on the Sri Lankan Airlines matter. The more that you keep it under state purview, there is no way that we can rescue